Our next game, the number 3 seeded Outlawz facing the number 6 seeded Wrecking Crew. That game is going on at 12:30, and it will be going on at River City Christian Academy. Next, the number 6 seeded Wrecking Crew, we're also coming off a loss, a pretty bad loss. There's no other way to put it. Y'all didn't have y'all quarterback.
Come on, Mark.
What did I do?
We're not going to discuss what happened last week, but
I played backups.
The Wrecking Crew, I
played backups.
You could have ran the ball.
Did you?
I played backups.
Did you play Greg?
Greg played the center.
Shout out to Greg for getting the INT.
I saw that.
I had Richard play quarterback.
Did you have to keep throwing the ball? When the game was in hand, did you have to keep throwing the ball?
We don't have a running offense, really.
Come on, Aaron.
Huh?
Is it Aaron that runs the ball?
No, we have Jabari.
There you go, Jabari. That's what I'm thinking.
And Ricky.
I was thinking about Jabari,
but y'all were throwing the ball.
It was really dumps.
It don't matter.
And really, Richard throwing the ball is actually worse. It helps the other team more than...
Yeah, he helped run on with like 5 touchdown passes.
I mean, he might have had something like that.
Let's get into this game this week. The Wrecking Crew, they are coming off some bad losses, like we just discussed. Who pulls this game out? Because right now...
Let him talk about the Wrecking Crew.
What?
Those are your boys. I don't want to talk about...
Don't throw me under the bus.
Nah, go ahead. I'll talk about that.
Can the Wrecking Crew find that spark they had?
I hope they do, because I'd hate for it to be a blowout. I never honestly want to see anybody get blown out.
Especially in the playoffs.
Especially in the playoffs. As much as I would, get a nice little chuckle into myself if Dante got blown out for playoffs.
It is.
But it's just he do me the same way. You want it to be a close game, and really, like, whoever wins, I wouldn't, I congratulate them. It's, Jay, and he said that they didn't really take the game seriously. I'm like, you can't. How can y'all not take a game seriously before the playoffs start when y'all had a 3-week layoff?
I think that's just an excuse.
Like they just,
I mean, because all throughout the regular season, unless you have nothing to play for, like the Titans had this week. Or the Tigers had this week.
They didn't have nothing to play for because they didn't have a game.
And also, I'm just saying if they did have a game, we'll get to that later on. But you always got something to play for. And this week it was more about getting your legs underneath you more than anything else. And if you didn't have any, if you couldn't move up or down, but they could have moved up. They could have had the number 5 out, like you said, and they said what he said. So. That, to me, that's just a cop-out. If you lose, you lose. If you play bad, you play bad. And so, excuses are excuses.
So then, was it a cop-out when you said that y'all lost to the Bucks because they didn't have your quarterback?
No, they beat us.
Okay.
That's simple. Okay. You can go back and check the videos. If we get beat, we get beat.
Okay.
So, Mark, the Outlawz, do they come out just firing on all cylinders?
Oh, that's the question.
That's the question.
I mean, their offense is firing. I mean, I don't remember how many points they scored against us, but after us, what is y'all, right? Mm-hmm. Well, out of 2 to 3 weeks, they've scored like above 30 points. So I think their offense is fine. Their corners are just
suspect.
It behooves me. It behooves me because they're good athletes.
Yeah.
They're decent athletes, but
honestly, I think it's a mental thing.
Is it? I don't know what it is. Lucky, 14. I always forget his name.
Colbert.
Colbert. There you go. Colbert. Lucky, Colbert, Taj. Which I haven't seen Taj play much corner lately, but I mean they're good athletes, and I just don't understand why they get toasted so much. Just keeping it real.
Like, shout out to Troy. Troy, for him to be still fairly new in the league, he's pretty smart. I really feel like he was getting into their head because the couple of plays that they made, they were talking like they were like talking mess. It was a little chippy, but he was in their head. Like Luck made a good. INT, shot select for that pick. That was a, you know, you read the route, made the move at the perfect time to jump in front of the pass. But for the most part, Troy, he was like letting Troy stay in his head, and he was so much worried about what Troy was doing, and oh, you can't do this, you're not gonna guard me this way.
Yeah.
He wasn't, you know, doing what he should have been doing. Like, don't worry about giving the couple errors. I don't give a damn if he's talking mess because you ain't pressing. Don't get burnt.
Here's the thing.
We all know Troy is good.
The coaching side of me, schematic wise, the rec changes a little bit against us this week. Usually they play a 2-1-1 with a safety over the top. If they decide to do that against the Outlaws, they're gonna eat them alive. They made the adjustment to us because we played a lot of two-back set.
Who's gonna eat them alive? The Outlaws are gonna eat
Yeah, the Outlaws gonna eat the Wrecking Crew's defense alive, and their offense is gonna continue to score because when you're playing that 2-on-1, you have instead of having two linebackers to cover the flats or to even man up on the backs, flares with Young and Lucky. Who's he gonna choose? Or you're gonna have to come with two linebackers that are good enough to save those running backs. So they're either gonna have to make an adjustment, which they've never really done, because that's the Wrecking Crew's defense. That's who they are. Is they play that zone, and that's what's gonna allow the Laws to just run like clockwork.
I think the Laws just destroy Wrecking Crew, and
I hate to say destroy because you don't know.
I hate to say that too, but the way.
What if they come with Turtle?
But they came with him the week before.
You just never know. Those guys are playoff tested. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a big score.
If those guys don't come,
no disrespect to the crew, but whether Silk, Snoop, and Turtle and all them come, as much as it pains me to do this, like believe me, it pains me. Like looking you in your eyes, it pains me. I gotta agree with Dante. It's not gonna be close. I think it's gonna be at least B. Let me tell you something else. Super Mario, shout out to Super Mario. He's coming back. They ain't seen him. They're like he's gonna bring a whole nother.
Super Mario should not come back.
He's coming back.
If he does come back, and if he's 80% healthy at least,
and he's gonna play smart. I talked to him on the sideline when I was on Chains.
If he's gonna come back, he should come back next week against us. If they win, then they play us.
I don't think he's going, but he's not gonna go out there and do nothing too serious. He said, I talked to him. He said he's gonna play smart. He wasn't worried about him. He said nothing about it. He just he wants to come back this week.
Play smart and still get hurt. Is what I'm saying.
He's not going. He's gonna run out of bounds.
I'll say this: if the Wrecking Crew had showed more of a fight these last few weeks in these losses, then I give them a chance to win the game. But I agree. The way they've been getting blown out, and they've been quitting. Also, yeah, I've seen them quit. Not everybody, but I've seen some players on that team quit.
It's hard to believe a team that's gonna make the playoffs, a team that's led by Hector, is just gonna quit in the playoffs.
But they're imploding.
I'm not saying that they don't have internal issues. I'm not saying that they're going to win the game. I don't think they're going to win the game. But to say they're going to get blown out, I don't see it. Maybe that's just me, the coach. I don't want to say
I give you this. If Silk or Deshaun throw no picks,
they got to have almost
it'll be a close game. But if either one of those two guys throws one pick, just one, they lost. I'm going to tell you why, because that's all it takes. As soon as somebody throws a pick, whether it's their fault or not, and no disrespect, they're both of them good guys, but if they throw a pick, the team, they don't know how to lift each other up. They get mad and start playing the blame game and pointing fingers. And it doesn't matter, like in the game against you guys last week, instead of them, trying to regroup, they were mad because Deshaun threw a pick to Greg. He was like, man, he just gave it to him. I can't believe of all people he threw a pick to Greg. Like,
Greg meant play.
Yeah, like they it's all right. Like they're on the sideline, like talking mess, like just making it worse, like add salt to the wound.
Yeah. Not saying, hey, come back the next time.
Yeah. And as it is, like Deshaun, shout out, he's a good player, but he's still young. And
you don't know what happened to the other two quarterbacks, Jimmy or Silk, whether they just were told to take the day off or they didn't show up. So if Deshaun's the only one showing up, you got to give a little more respect.
You played them this week or last week. I'm sorry.
Right.
Would it have helped?
Would it have helped if
would it have been a closer score?
I mean, I don't know. My point on that is the character of the team is that if you got one guy and showing up, then you ride with that guy.
And I agree with that.
You know
I
what
don't have a problem with Deshaun. I'm saying the team.
And I'm like, I don't know what happened to Jimmy or Silk. Maybe they were told to take the know that. But if you only got one guy at your quarterback, normally you have three, but you only got one guy that showed up, you should be encouraged.
Young as it is in the league, you know, when you make a mistake, he's hard on himself. The dude,
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's natural. You're an athlete. You're a competitor. You're gonna be hard on yourself, and he's already hard on himself as it is.
Yeah.
And for them to come, you know, throw dirt on him while he's down, that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. And they do the same thing. Silk, he's older. He don't really care, but I know that still could get to him sometimes. You know, you make a mistake. Silk is the ultimate competitor.
Silk is sensitive.
Yeah, he is. But shout out to Silk. He's a competitor.
He's old.
And Clutch said he had a sensitive voice. That's all. I'm just.
But
We picking. I think we're all in consensus that we're all about the
yeah,
Outlaws.
so that was not going to get one on me. I'm going with Outlawz. No reverse cheeks pick for you this week?
I'm gonna pick the Wrecking Crew then.
Stop lying.
I'm picking the Wrecking Crew.
You're not.
I'm picking the Wrecking Crew.
Those games are going
I was
on.
about to say, you pick the Wrecking Crew, I'll show up in the Duville shirt.
But then I tell you, remember Wrecking Crew.
Those games are going on starting at 11 o'clock. River City Christian Academy, 5810 Blanco Road, 78216 for your GPS. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our Super. Those are coming up next. We'll be back here in just a moment.